Hi guys, welcome to Ish Academy. Today, we're going to talk about how to draw Lewis structures of compounds by starting with the concept of covalent bonding. All atoms have an outer shell, where their valence electrons exist. Atoms will gain or lose valence electrons if it means that they can have a full outer shell, as this is the lowest energy state or most stable state. This is called the octet rule. Hydrogen is an exception where it is stable with 2 electrons in its outer shell, which you will see in the following examples. Covalent bonding occurs when atoms share electrons in pairs. This type of bonding allows atoms to gain stability by getting a full outermost shell. Let's start with the first example, H2 or diatomic hydrogen. Hydrogen has 1 valence electron. To bond with both hydrogens, we will pair both electrons from both hydrogens and we get our Lewis structure. Here, both hydrogens have 2 electrons in their shell and are in the lowest energy state by sharing those electrons. One pair of electrons is also the same as a single bond. So a single bond would mean that there is 1 pair of electrons shared. Likewise, a double bond would mean 2 pairs of electrons are shared, and a triple bond would mean that 3 pairs of electrons are shared. Now let's look at the next example, diatomic iodine, or I2. Iodine is in group 7 of the periodic table and has 7 valence electrons. To fulfill the octet rule, both iodines need 8 electrons in their outermost shell. To do this, both iodines will covalently bond to each other. After drawing the Lewis structure of diatomic iodine, you can see that both now have a full octet. Alright, let's move on to the next example. CH4 is the molecular formula for a compound called methane. Let's look at this in steps. First, we will need to decide which atom will be in the center of the Lewis structure. In this case, we are going to look for the atom that requires the greatest number of electrons to fulfill its octet. Hydrogen needs only 1 to fulfill its outermost shell, while carbon needs 4. Therefore, carbon will be the central atom in this case. In the next step, we will draw all of the individual Lewis structures of each atom in the compound. This will help us visualize where to add what element in the final structure. In the last step, we will consolidate all of the individual structures and make sure each atom is in its lowest energy state. As you can see, all hydrogens have 2 electrons and the carbon has 8 electrons, meaning that each atom is happy and has fulfilled its outermost shell requirement. Let's look at our last example. We will draw the Lewis structure of N2 or diatomic nitrogen. This structure is a bit different because it involves a triple bond. In the first step, we are going to count the number of electrons that will be present in the Lewis structure. In this case, we have 2 nitrogens and both nitrogens have 5 valence electrons. By multiplying the 2, we know that the Lewis structure should have a total of 10 electrons. Let's start by adding a pair of electrons between the 2 nitrogens, 3 more pairs surrounding the rightmost nitrogen, and 1 more pair dedicated to the leftmost nitrogen. As you can see, there is a problem in this structure. Only the right nitrogen gets to fulfill its octet, while the left nitrogen only has 4 electrons. What we are going to do now is take a pair of electrons from the right nitrogen and add it to the middle of the 2 nitrogens. By doing this, we share more electrons and allow the left nitrogen to get closer to its goal of having an octet. This is still not completely correct. The right nitrogen has 8 electrons while the left nitrogen only has 6, so the octet for only the right nitrogen is fulfilled. Now we're going to take 1 more pair from the right nitrogen and add it to the middle of the 2 nitrogens. Now both nitrogens have 8 electrons each in their outer shell and are satisfied. Also, if you count the number of electrons for the whole Lewis structure, we have 10, which is what we needed. This is a good way to check if you have drawn your Lewis structure correctly. Well, that was all for today. Thank you so much for watching this, and I hope this helped. And as always, remember to like, share, and subscribe.